Hi, this video is about allowances. So if you remember your first video lesson, standard time is equal to basic time plus allowances. Therefore, after adding the handling motion codes and sewing time, it is these allowances that need to be added to get the final standard time of an operation. Allowances for recovery from fatigue, personal needs, or any other periodic activity such as bobbin and thread changes, etc. are added separately by a percentage addition to the basic time. Allowances mainly depend on the nature of the job and at times on company policy. Let us first discuss all the different allowances and then we will see how they are actually added to the basic time. So first there are machine allowances, then we have PNF or personal and fatigue allowances, and then contingency allowances. Bundling allowance are added as the worker takes some time to open and then in the end tie the bundle back after all parts have been worked upon. We will discuss each of these allowances one by one. Starting with machine allowances. Machine allowances vary depending on the amount of handling required for the different types of machines. Also, machine allowances are given only to the sewing time, that is, the time calculated from a sewing code like Sew6GY. This allowance is added as a percentage of the sewing time. So machine allowances are basically divided into 4 categories based on the type of machine. The first category gives 10% of machine allowance to the sewing time, and the machines in this category are sewing through single needle chain stitch or SNCS machine, chain stitch button attach machine. The next category or the next level of machine allowances is 15% of machine allowance, and the machines are SNLS or single needle lock stitch machine, 3-thread overlock machines, lock stitch button attach, and double needle chain stitch. The third category gives 20% machine allowance and includes machines like double needle lock stitch, twin needle, 4 to 6 thread chain stitch machines, blind stitch, safety stitch, and various button machines. The last category of machine allowance gives 25% of allowance and includes machines like 3 to 4 needle and 7 to 9 thread flat lock and chain stitch machines. Next allowance is called PNF allowances, also known as personal and fatigue allowances. PNF allowances are different for sitting and standing positions. So while the operator is in sitting, like in case of sewing, we give an allowance of 11%. But when the operator is in standing position, like while pressing, we give 13% allowance. The third allowance is called contingency allowance. These allowances are added only after the PNF allowance have been added to the entire basic time. We add 3% of contingency allowance to the basic plus PNF allowance time. Bundling allowances are added in the end of each operation. Bundle handling allowances are not determined by the software and instead have to be analyzed by the user depending on the bundle size, number of parts, and other characteristics. This time allowance is in minutes and not in percentage. This allowance usually tends to range from 0.01 to 0.07 minutes. Although it could go out of range in special cases, and so it is always advisable to calculate your factory's bundling time using PMTS motion codes like get, put, reposition, etc. So, let us have an overview of the entire procedure of adding allowances. Let us recollect. We first have our handling time, which is determined by adding all basic motion codes performed during the operation. For example, an operator picks up a garment and puts it underfoot using a P1 code, then makes a single fold on it, which is an F1 code. He then straightens the fabric slightly to remove air spaces using an L6 code and then sews using this code, which is obviously not handling code but is included in the sewing time. Then the operator cuts and then disposes the part, and that is the end. Now handling and sewing time gives us basic time of an operation. We start with adding machine allowances. This is added only to the sewing time, that is, to time derived from just the sewing code like Sew10MX. This gives us a new basic time. To this basic time, we start with adding PNF allowances, which in this case would be 11% since the sewing operator is in a sitting position. To this end, contingency allowance of 3% is added. We then have a new time of the operation to which we finally add bundling allowance. And after all this, we get our standard time. And that was the end, and it was all for this topic. If you have any doubts regarding the concepts explained on the video, feel free to question us using our chat column on the right end of the web page. We look forward to solving your queries as soon as possible.